Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and my very first video. Today I'm going to show you how to make this very cute bag. I made two of them. I did them the exact same way, but because the blue yarn is much thinner, it turned out to be a little bit smaller than the pink one. But feel free to use any kind of yarn color combination you like. And let's get started. So for me, I use medium weight yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. We start with the chain 21, so first make a loop. I like to do it with my fingers, but you can of course do it with a hook. So we'll get started on the base of our round 1. You'll want to start with the chain 1 and you'll want to ignore this chain you just made. Go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. And that would be your first stitch for the round 1. Mark it with a stitch marker so that you don't forget later. Go into the next stitch and do another single crochet. Basically, you want to do this for the rest of this 21 chain on both sides, and we'll be doing increases at each end. So I'll meet you back here when we reach the other end of the chain. Here we are at our final stitch of the chain. You'll want to make 2 increases in here, so you should have a total of 4 stitches, 2 on either side plus the 2 increase. And when you're doing this, you will notice that there's a tail from where you created the chain. You can just tuck it in when you're doing the single crochets so that it doesn't come apart, and later, like if there's any spare tail, you can just trim it off with scissors. And now we're at the other end of the chain where we started with, and you'll want to work 2 increases in here. So you're doing 3 stitches in here, and you'll want to join the last one with a slip stitch. For round 2, we start with the chain 1 and then go into that same stitch and do a single crochet. You'll also probably want to mark this first stitch with a stitch marker so that you don't get confused at the end of this round. And we're basically doing the same thing as the first round, so single crochet in every stitch and 2 increases at the end of the chain. When you get to this point, just remember to do the 2 increases So just work one more single crochet into each of the 2 stitches at the very end. And we just have to repeat this single crochet around the entire base. And at the other end of the base, we want to make 2 increases, similar to the other side. After the increases, you'll notice that there are 2 stitches here that are right before the stitch that you marked. So do skip over these stitches. Go directly into the first stitch of this row that you have marked with the stitch marker and use a slip stitch to join. By the end of this, you should have 50 stitches. Moving on to the body, we should start with the chain 3. Basically, we're going to do double crochet, and in this very first stitch, go in and do 3 more double crochets. We want 4 double crochets in each stitch that we are doing, and we are treating the first chain 3 as a double crochet. So after the 4 double crochets, we are doing a chain 1, and then we are going to count 4 stitches that we are going to skip. Go into the 5th stitch and do 4 double crochets. So after the 4 double crochet, again you want to do chain 1. And we're going to skip 4 stitches again and go into the 5th one with 4 double crochet. So we are actually just going to repeat this throughout the body of the bag. And it's really very simple once you get the hang of it. I'll show you one more here. So go into the 5th stitch, work 4 double crochets here and a chain 1 before doing the next set. Skipping over to the end of this round, we're now working on the last group of the 4 double crochets. And then a chain 1. And here we'll want to join to the beginning of this round using a slip stitch. So find your first stitch that you did. It should be the 3rd chain of that chain 3. And then just continue doing slip stitches for the next 4 stitch until you reach this point where you see that big hole. And here we have it. We are done with the first row. Moving on to the second row, we are doing the exact same thing we did in the first row. So start with a chain 3 and do 3 more double crochets in that first stitch. In the second row, it's really a lot easier because you don't have to count the stitches anymore. You just want to work that 4 double crochets into every hole that you have made in the previous round. So it's really easy to spot them. And just remember to do a chain 1 in between so that you can continue making that hole for the next round. I'll show you how to join this again, just in case you didn't catch it the last time. So after your 4 double crochets, remember to do that chain 1 and then find that 3rd chain you made when you started. Go into it and do a slip stitch. It really doesn't matter if you're going into the back loop, front loop, or both loops. It really doesn't matter here. You can do it any way you like. And slip stitch all the way until you reach that very big space. And then continue for the next 14 rounds. That's the number of rounds I did. You can customize the size and the shape of this bag yourself to suit your needs. So basically the size I made can fit up to a Kindle Paperwhite. It can definitely fit all kinds of phones and small wallets as well. So it's really up to you how long you want to make it. And that's it. I'll meet you back here when you're done finishing up this part of the bag. Here I am at round 14. I'm just going to join the final round to the beginning of this round using a slip stitch as usual. And here you can just go ahead and pull out that yarn and cut it. We don't really have to weave in the ends because we can just weave it in later when we are adding on the white part of the bag. So now grab your white yarn or whatever color you chose to use. I wanted to go in from the side of the bag because when you join it will have a little bit of a mark, and I don't want that to be, you know, at a very obvious place, so I did it at the side so that it looks better overall. So you want to go in and secure your white yarn with a chain first and then work a single crochet in that same stitch, and then just carry on with single crochet in every stitch that follows. So in total you should have 50 stitches when you finish the whole round. So here we are doing our final stitch of the round, and you can see the first stitch, just join it with a slip stitch and then do a chain 1 for the next round. We are going to work again a single crochet into that same first stitch that you did the chain 1, and do 1 single crochet in every stitch until the end where you want to join with a slip stitch as usual. So remember what we did with the base of the bag. You will come across 2 stitches, which are the slip stitch from the last round and the chain 1 from the beginning of this round. Skip those and go straight into the first stitch that I've marked with the stitch marker and close the round with a slip stitch. After you're done with the 3 rows of single crochet, you'll need to make holes for our decor strap and pom-poms. So what I did was to mark out the middle of the bag first when it's facing front, and then I marked out where I wanted those holes to be. How you want to make the holes is basically to replace single crochet with a chain, so you leave a space underneath that stitch, and you just want to make a chain instead of a single crochet at every marker that you marked out. Go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. Okay, so we have finished half of that round, and you just want to do the exact same thing for the other side. So make sure that the holes you make are symmetrical on both sides. When you're done with this row, just remove the stitch markers and do 3 more rounds of what you did with the first 3 rounds. So basically just single crochet in every stitch and join with the slip stitch at the end. And after you complete this, we're pretty much done with the body of the bag, and we can move on to make the decorative pieces, the strap and the pom-poms. So here at the very end where I want to stop the round, I didn't do the final slip stitch. I basically just pulled through that yarn and cut it. and use a yarn needle to work it into the final rounded join so that it looks better. So what you want to do is just use a yarn needle to go into that first stitch of this final row. And then go back into your last stitch and now you've created a stitch that looks like any other. And here you can just do a knot and try to tie in the loose ends and cut off any excess. Okay, so now we have the holes ready. We just need to make a strap and the pom-poms. Take the pink yarn again, make a chain 80. So I didn't leave a long tail at this end and it was really difficult to put the pom-poms on it, so I would definitely advise you to leave a longer tail, probably at least 6 inches, so that you can use your yarn needle to help you secure the pom-poms. So you kind of want the strap to fit nicely around the back, and with a bit of excess on each end, probably about 4 to 5 inches. And then use a yarn needle to help you thread this strap into those holes you made. And now for the pom-poms, it's really easy. If you have a pom-pom maker, go ahead and use it. I don't have one, so I kind of just wrap them around my finger. So I did about 40 loose rounds around my finger. You want to do it loosely so that you can remove it easily from your finger. Pull through another yarn underneath. Make sure you don't hurt yourself doing this. The yarn needle is pretty blunt, so I don't think you'll run into any trouble, but still be careful. After you do that, slide the yarn off your finger and tie it up with the string that just went through. Make sure you do a dip knot so that the yarn don't fall out. And you want to cut the yarn in the middle of the loops and then try to trim off the ends to make it into a more circular shape. Takes a bit of patience to trim, and just don't go overboard. Trim it slowly so that you don't end up with funny shapes. And you'll want to make 4 pieces of this. When you're ready, just take 2 of them. You want to combine them. So take 1 yarn from each pom-pom and tie them together using a did knot. If any of the smaller pieces of yarn get caught in the knot, just use a yarn needle to kind of pull them out. Otherwise, it's totally fine to just leave it like that. And then, before you do the other 2 strands of yarn, you'll want to put the pink strap underneath so it kind of loops through that pom-pom that you're tying up. And then tie did knots to secure the 2 pom-poms together. Trim off the excess white yarn, and now your pink yarn is already looped through that pom-pom, and you'll just want to use a yarn needle to kind of tie in the ends, and definitely use a did knot to secure that. When you cut off the excess pink yarn, make sure to have like a tiny tail left so that it doesn't fall apart. And then the last step of this is to fluff your pom-poms using your palms. Just roll it around and trim it again so that it looks rounder and cuter. And then you're done. To make a crossbody backstrap, I did a Romanian cord. So you'll want to start with chain 2. And then go into your first chain and do a single crochet. Now you kind of want to turn your work clockwise, and you'll see a chain at the bottom where you want to go in and do a single crochet. Again, turn your work clockwise, and from this row onwards, you'll see 2 loops, and you'll want to go into those 2 loops and do a single crochet there. I'll show you a couple more. When you're done with the Romanian cord, just cut the yarn and pull it through the last single crochet you made. And the last step is to just attach the Romanian cords to your bag, and I attached them to the side where the pink meets the white so that it doesn't show through at the side. Just secure it with a couple of knots. And when we are done with both sides, just trim off any excess yarn that you might have hanging around the bag. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Do like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you back here very soon.